Hey, what's up, everybody? I want to welcome you to another episode of the Dreamerspro Daily Recap, where we give you a recap of all of the hot topics that we covered that day. You can catch them in their long format and also catch it fully streaming for free on Apple Podcasts. Yesterday was a pretty crazy day, to say the least, right? Because everyone in the internet now is essentially reacting to some comments that Gilbert Arenas made about the South Sudanese team, right? As you guys know, they were 43-point underdogs against Team USA, and miraculously, they ended up having this huge lead on the team, and ultimately it came down to the wire, and had it not been for a late layup by LeBron James to put USA up 1, USA would have lost that game. They would have absolutely lost that game, and it would have been a shocker, right? It would have been a shocker. But ultimately, they ended up winning that game. In the aftermath of that, various people were reacting to it. Some people thought, like people like Brian Windhorst, Tim Legler, and all of these other guys, they thought it was a bad omen, right? They thought it was a bad omen, that this team is clearly not as good as we think they are. Another person said, if LeBron is your best player at this stage, that's not a good sign. Various people weighed in on the issue. And one of the people that weighed in on the issue yesterday as well was Gilbert Arenas, right? Gilbert Arenas weighed in on the situation. As you guys know, Gilbert Arenas, former NBA player, has a very huge, platform on, Gil's Arena. He also has his own show as well that he does. No Chill Gil. So Gil has a very big audience. And I want to read some of the comments that he put up yesterday that he said about the team. He said, the males almost lost to some Africans. We almost lost and had to save us. I know the LeBron haters are mad. We almost lost to the IEIE tribe. This is crazy. Man, Embiid over there throwing the game for his cousins and bleed. We're not supposed to be losing to them. Come on, man. Cool Runnings. We're not supposed to be losing to some Cool Runnings team. They don't even have shoes. They got shoes from America. They get their shoes from America. We have to ship them shoes. We're losing to people who are shooting on peach baskets in dirt, no shoes. Well, it seems like Rob Parker from The Odd Couple on FS1 got a hold of Gilbert Arenas' comments. And when it came time for him to express his views, he absolutely went ballistic on Gil. So what we would like to do now, we'd like to play exactly what Rob Parker had to say on The Odd Couple yesterday, responding to Gilbert Arenas' comments. And then we're going to come back and react to his comments. Take a listen to what Rob Parker had to say here.
We were on just like 45 minutes after the game. We both excoriated Team USA and had nothing but good things to say about South Sudan. Like, there's ways to do it where you're not belittling the opponent. And especially when you're sitting up you're talking out the left side of your mouth because you got no idea what you're talking about, especially when you consider, like I said, the investment that they've put in to basketball in South Sudan, the NBA talent that they have both on the roster and coaching their roster. It's just factually incorrect, and it's something that there's really no space for in the commentary. And I'm glad to see that people aren't just laughing it off.
100%. And Gilbert Arenas, let's call him ignorant. The words, Martin, are hateful, racist to all Africans. Why in the world would you attack them? What did they do wrong that you would want to chastise them and make fun of their existence and how they've done things? And I don't know, people did research about Gilbert Arenas today, whether it matters or not, because it's just racist. Gilbert Arenas, Martin, is he black?
To my knowledge.
Until you look up his Wikipedia, and it says he's born to 2 Cuban parents. So he's Cuban, which nobody really knew. Not that really matters, but my point is there's no place for this. This is what happens when rich guys have nothing better to do, so they get a podcast and people follow them, and they get on and they think that they're so cute and funny and they can just chastise. They don't have to answer anybody, Martin, right? There's no parent company. So they just say whatever they want. they do a disservice to the people that supposedly they serve, and how people are supposed to look at if you're Gilbert Arenas, and your alma mater wants to invite you to something, Martin, or the NBA wants to. How in the world could Arizona invite Gilbert Arenas to anything? What would you be in inviting him to after those kind of comments? Nothing. Is that really where you want to go? It's mean-spirited. It's hurtful. There's just so many things that are wrong with this. Really? That's your comedy act? That's how you think you want to make fun of the Africans who put on a ball game, Martin, because the U.S. let them stay in the game?
Right.
And you talked about it. They've worked hard. They've had instructions and coaches come over from the United States.
I mean, Royale Ivey coaches the team. That was Kevin Durant's teammate at Texas. Luol Deng is the president of the foundation of South Sudan Basketball Foundation, assistant coach on the team. He played in the NBA for, 15 years?
It's not like they were out there playing in the middle of the continent with no supervision, and they just showed up to play basketball with no shoes on.
It's not like they just walked down the street and picked 15 players. It's like, hey, you guys want to come play basketball?
Hey,
we got a game
tall
today.
Guys over there.
Right.
Hey, why don't you come over here? What? No shoes? Don't worry about it. Really? Is that where we're going? To make fun of African people? It's just plain wrong.
And it's also factually incorrect. Like, it's also not true. Like, that's the other thing. It'd be one thing if he was actually truthful about it, and then you could talk about the delivery and how he was bringing it up. It's just not true. So it's like, not only are you going up there and flatly lying, you're not even doing it funny. It's not even funny.
But why, Martin? You know why?
Because he doesn't have any other research on it.
Right, exactly. If he had done any research before making that, he would know all the facts that you know. You just talked about. But this is how these podcasts, this is my biggest pushback when I talk about a lot of these podcasts that athletes are doing. Hey, get into space, do whatever you want to do. Guys, how many times have you listened to these podcasts? No pushback, no research, nothing. They're just talking. Really? It would have been nice if somebody would have been on the podcast to push back and say, Do you know that they put a lot of money into South Sudan and they got former NBA players who are coaching them? Hey, did you know that? It's not the Cosby kids playing basketball on a Saturday.
Yeah, one of the kids from South Sudan was the G League MVP last year, right? Like, there's several. Wenyen Gabriel played for the Lakers. He got minutes for the Lakers. Ended up getting cut. Got cut by Boston this year. But the point remains, he was in training camp, so they didn't just find him. Right? They're like, no, he knew how to play. He's a good player.
So Gilbert Arenas, after that, I'm sure he's wanted maybe when Amazon gets the contract for the NBA, it'll be on the pre- and post-game show. Is that who you want? Like why? Why go there? Why do that? I just don't understand it. You already know. But I'm telling you, because it's not his job, it's a hobby, and they don't feel that they can be hurt in any way, right, Martin? There's a part of that allows people to do stuff that's just plain wrong.
So you heard what Rob Parker had to say, right? He didn't hold back, and other people out there said even worse. Here's one of the things that I said on the live yesterday when we did the live and we're reacting to it, and why I think that comments like this should not be made, right? Especially from current or former NBA players, and I'm going to tell you why. Basketball is a global sport, right? It's played all over the world. There are people that follow basketball all over the world. It's a global game now. If you think about the biggest names in the sport, for example, if you think about the Michael Jordans, the Kobes, these guys have inspired millions, quite literally, millions of kids around the world to want to be NBA players. And a lot of kids look up to the Michael Jordans. They looked up to the Kobe Bryants. And could you imagine if Michael Jordan or Kobe Bryant said what Gilbert Arenas said about the South Sudanese team. Could you imagine the millions of kids that looked up to these guys that they would have discouraged with those comments? They would have discouraged millions of kids all over the world who look up to them, who because of these guys, they became interested in the sport. Can you imagine looking up to, and then this is what they feel about you? This is what they feel about you? I don't even think the NBA would be happy with comments like this, because the NBA is trying to grow its game globally, and they have a lot of initiatives in Africa. They would not be happy about this, in my personal view. So an NBA player should never say this about any group of people, period, because you hurt the game when you say that. You discourage people when you say that, and you shouldn't do that. Sports is something that brings people together. It's not something that tears people apart. Sports has always been known as something that brings people together. Religion, no. Politics, no. Sports, yes. You can have a bunch of people with different religious and political views sit down together in a sporting event and enjoy it all together and be high-fiving. You can't do that in a political event. You can't do that in some religious circles. You can't. Settings. But sports is supposed to be a unifier. And when things like this happen, they must be called out immediately. There are a lot of people that thought that it was okay, and I'm like, no, it's not okay. The only people that heard that thought it was okay are people that it wasn't their group that got insulted. If it was your group that got insulted, you would not be saying that that's okay. You wouldn't be. You know, and a lot of people came for Gil, man. A lot of people came for Gil. And what is the irony in all of this? Some of the people that was spurring Gil on to say, go ahead, Gil, say it, Gil, say it, Gil, you got it, Gil, say it, Gil, don't apologize, don't take it back, go ahead, Gil, tell him how you feel, son, tell him why you mad, son, tell him this, go ahead, Gil. During the live, but some people were like, but Gilbert Arenas is a Cuban. I'm like, Gilbert Arenas ain't Cuban. Gilbert Arenas is black. He's a African-American. They're like, no, he's Cuban. Then Gilbert Arenas dropped a super chat saying, no, I'm Cuban. He said, I'm Cuban, and Cuban and I think black or African-American or something like that. Do you know what immediately came after that? The same people that were cheering on Gil, do you know what came immediately after that? Oh, he's not one of us. Some people were calling him Tether, all of this ridiculous monikers. He's this and he's that. The person they were just cheering on. Yeah, Gil, go for it. You got it, man. You got it. 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 Oh, wait, what? Oh, no. Get him up out of here. That's what happened. There's no space for this in sports. I called it out when there were people when Kevin Hart made those comments about, you know, it's a bad look for Nikola Jokic to win the MVP. I said, why? Why? If it was Jason Tatum that was winning, you wouldn't say anything. So why are you saying it about him? It's like, that's wrong. Wrong is wrong, regardless of who says it. Yesterday was a very interesting day. We had concluded all of the content that we wanted to produce. We were just kind of scheduling everything, preparing it to come out. And then one of the viewers of the channel on Dreamerspro messaged me on Instagram. If you're not following me on Instagram, my handle is CTABANZ. And he sent me a post from Dr. Umar's Instagram page that was highlighting some pretty bad quotes from Gilbert Arenas as he was talking about the South Sudanese basketball team after they lost by 1 point to Team USA after being 43-point underdogs in that game. So he initially sent me the tweet, the comments. I read it, and we immediately went online. We went live. And we did a live about it. As we're live at a certain point, maybe 10, 15 minutes into the live, Gilbert Arenas drops into the live, right? If you guys haven't seen this live, I suggest you watch it after this show. It's on the channel. It was the last live we produced on the channel. And we were kind of discussing it. Gil was saying his points, whatever. Now, some of you may be watching the show today and saying, well, what exactly did Gilbert Arenas actually say? Initially, we were going to read his comments, but I think it's better that you guys actually listen. So what we would like to do now, we would like to play exactly what Gilbert Arenas said, I believe, on his show. No Chill Gil. And then we're going to come back and continue on the show and really get into the meat and potatoes of the show. Take a listen to Gilbert Arenas here.
And then we got the males almost lost to some Africans. God damn, dog. We almost lost to them. We almost lost. Come on, man. And the king had to save. The king had to save us. I know the LeBron haters are mad. He did it again. We almost lost to the Ahi tribe. This is crazy. What is going on, man? Embiid over there, goddamn throwing the game. He throwing the game for his cousins and what's this is I don't even know where to find the box score. We winning on layups at the end of the game. Like, what is I don't know where the box score is. I already have my excuses. I already have my excuses. This just preseason. We still trying to figure out lineup. But God, come on, y'all. We don't supposed to be losing to air up there. Come on, man. Cool Runnings. We don't supposed to lose to the Cool Runnings team. That's the last team we supposed to lose to or be close with. They don't even have shoes. They get their shoes from America. We got to ship them shoes. They had to use the shoes that we have extra leftover shoe. They use leftover shoes that the USA teams didn't want. Y'all can use these. They don't even have basketball rims, dog. I seen Mutombo's. Was it Mutombo's? No, Bull's father, Manu Bull. I seen he had to walk an hour and a half to go shoot basketball. 25 miles for a basketball rim. That is crazy. We losing to people who don't even. They got baskets in the back. They shooting on peach baskets in dirt, no shoes.
So you heard what Gilbert Arenas said, right? It was those comments that forced us to go live. And while I was live, I'm going to tell you guys what I said there. I'm going to say it here. I was very, very disappointed and bothered by those comments that Gilbert Arenas said. And I said it on the live. I think what he said, it sounded very xenophobic, and to a certain extent, it sounded racist. Because he was saying absolutely nothing about basketball. He wasn't even analyzing the game. He started talking about the fact that they don't have baskets and the IEIA tribe. That's unacceptable. And I said it during the live, and I'm going to say it now. I said that Gil has too big of a platform that influences too many people. I'm talking about the Gil's Arena now, where people may see that, talking about fans and all of that, and think that it's okay when it's not. Gil initially started with you're talking about European players and this and this and this, and I was like, a bit of this sounds xenophobic. Like, some people are laughing, but it's not funny, right? It had some xenophobic undertones to it. But then this one came out, and I was like, okay, this took it a step further, right? And I thought that it was absolutely unnecessary. So during that live, and he was still joking about it. I guess that I get that's his personality. But during that live, I was pleading with him. I'm like, Gil, please, you have too big of a platform with the Gil's Arena to be saying things like this. And I'm like, please put up an apology. You don't have to go on your show and do it, but please apologize for those comments, because it doesn't reflect well on you. And a lot of people are very, very, very upset with those comments. So to my surprise, Gil actually did put up an apology post on his community board on No Chill Gil, and I want to read it here, and I want you guys to look at it. He wrote 13 hours ago, "Are you offended or just pretending to be offended for clickbait? If you are offended, what part offended you personally at Dreamerspro? I made some jokes about the South Sudan basketball team, and some folks are saying it was racist. I just want to set the record straight. That ain't me. I was just clowning, trying to bring some humor, nothing more, nothing less. I got mad respect for the South Sudan squad and what they bring to the court. If anybody felt some type of way about what I said, my bad. It was never meant to be taken like that. We keep it real and inclusive around here. Thanks to all of y'all rocking with me and keeping it 100. I think that these comments by Gilbert Arenas are 100% appropriate, right? And I thank him for putting out those comments because there were some people that were saying, no need to apologize, no need to apologize. But I think Gil understood what he said was wrong. Now, he asked me personally. Personally, it didn't sit well with me for a few reasons. Number one, I'm an African American, but my first generation African American, so I do have African parents. And to hear somebody speak like that about Africans is never going to make you feel good. If it's no different than any other group feel like that feels like they're being insulted, you're not going to feel good. So I don't think it's anything unique to me, right? I think if it was happening in your group, whoever is watching, I think you would feel a type of way. So I think that's a human thing. The second thing is that it's discounting what those Sudanese players did. This is a country that's only had independence for 13 years. 13 years. And if they were, playing in dirt and all of those stuff and all of those things that you said, for them to take Team USA and have them down and only lose to them by 1 point, what does that say about the American team? Or rather, what does it say about those people and their character and their will as a people? It says a lot. So for that to be the takeaway, it didn't sit well with me. Now, during the live, he made one or more jokes about it, which is fine. And I said something there, and I'm going to say this because some people think that it's okay. I don't think it's okay. I don't think that there's any space for this. I'm not talking about Gilbert Arenas now. I'm talking about in general. There's no space for this in sports. None whatsoever. I don't condone it, and I'm being consistent across the board. Some people will say, oh, you just defend him because you're African. No, you need to do some more research and look at some of the content. I defend everybody. I've defended Nikola Jokic. I've defended this player. I've defended that. I defend what's wrong in my view. Not to say that I have the answer to everything, but I defend it, and I have a track record. So regardless of whatever some one or two people may say in the comment section, it's irrelevant. I have a track record. I'm not picking and choosing. Do I look Serbian to you? I don't think I do. I've defended them as well. So I tuned into an episode from Undisputed yesterday. And on the panel was Skip Bayless, Rachel Nichols, and Paul Pierce, right? So I tuned into the show. It's about a 15-minute, 14-minute segment into discussing Team USA's 1-point victory against South Sudan. And at the beginning of the show, as soon as the segment started, Paul Pierce, out of nowhere, started off by basically apologizing for some comments that he had made about the South Sudanese team. Because if you guys remember, before going into that match, that game, America, the United States, were favored by, I think, 43.5 points going into that game. So when Paul saw the spread, when he saw the advantage that USA had, I think what happened, and I didn't see his comments until later, he basically started making fun of the South Sudan team, cracking all kind of jokes. But I think what happened was after the game, after he saw how well they played, and he did some research about the team, the country, and all of that, he decided that he needed to go on live TV and go apologize for his comments that he made, I think the previous Friday. And as I was listening to him speak, I was like, man, Paul Pierce in this particular moment is a class act. I mean, his words were beautiful. You could tell that he was contrite, he was humble, and he was sincere. And I thought he stated it beautifully, absolutely beautifully. So what we would like to do now is want to play exactly what Paul Pierce had to say on Undisputed. I want you guys to listen to it in its entirety because I think he said it beautifully. And then we're going to come back and react to his comments. Take a listen to Paul Pierce here.
First off, I'd like to offer an apology to South Sudan for the disrespect
Here we go.
that I've given them, not having any knowledge about their team or their country. So right off the bat, I'd like to apologize that. I think a lot of my talk came off of the spread was 40 points. So, I've never seen a 40-point spread in a game. So, but I like to bring some things to light because South Sudan has some players that could possibly be playing in the NBA. And, I had a chance to watch, sorry if I get you guys' name wrong. Wenyen Gabriel was actually in Celtics camp. He's played for the Lakers.
Played for the Lakers and it wasn't bad.
Yeah, he's definitely an NBA player.
Yeah.
But the reason, like I said, South Sudan hasn't really been on the map for that long. So that's the reason for the jokes and, or whatever. But, when they got guys, they have prospects, and you can't take that away from them. Gabriel Jones, G League MVP, 2023.
Jones. Yeah.
Yeah. Carleek Jones.
He's been in the league.
He's been in the league.
I have a feeling after this he'll be back in
gave
someone's
him a
training camp.
triple-double. I mean, who's guarding him? I mean, no disrespect to him, but, he got a triple-double versus the USA team. Cayman Mulak, if I say it, 17-year-old going to Duke, NBA prospect. But
7'2".
7 foot, 2. But, you got to give a lot of credit, and I did my research over the weekend. I apologize, and I'll be watching South Sudan more.
Yeah.
Because they were exciting to watch, and they really got my attention.
Yeah.
I didn't realize Luol Deng was from South Sudan or Manu Bo.
Yeah.
So my lack of knowledge, I continue to apologize, you guys. But the reason they're at where they're at is because Luol. He's put his own money into the basketball program and, really developed something to make a name. And, this is a country who we're gonna be seeing a lot of. And after that game, I was so impressed, Skip. And, maybe it's something I said on Friday, put a battery in their back. And maybe Coach Royal Ivey, who's been in the NBA, who I played against, probably played what I said. And I'm glad they did. Because they need some light and some attention for what they're able to accomplish. And, who would think that we would be talking about this in a loss?
Yeah.
In a loss. Yeah. They lost the game, but they showed me something. They showed pride. And you know what this says to me also when I watched it? Another thing I thought of, it showed me the seismic shift in international play. You think about this, Skip, Rachel? There hasn't been an American MVP since 2017, 2018.
Yep.
American MVP player in the NBA, James Harden. Yep. This game opened my eyes to so many things about the international play, how they're not scared of the U.S., how they're catching up with different teams, and how players from around the country are just becoming NBA players. And think about this, the last 2 NBA drafts have featured players from France as a top pick. And it just shows you that the U.S., although as a whole, are more talented. As a whole, from top to bottom. But when you look around the world, how much the game has grown and players from every country, no matter what race, wherever, are learning the game. They're getting facilities, they're getting help, and they're catching up to us. And we can't even say we don't have the best player in the NBA is not from America.
So you heard what Paul Pierce had to say. First of all, kudos to Paul. I thought that he stated that beautifully, very well said, and I appreciated his comments. I'm not even from the Sudan, but I just respected the maturity that Paul Pierce showed and the contrition to basically correct himself when he knows he's wrong. That was fantastic. At first they were laughing on the segment because they thought he would but then once they realized how sincere he was with his comments, I thought that was fantastic. So shout out to Paul Pierce for those comments, man. We really appreciated that. A lot of people appreciated that when you said that. But back to the overall conversation. Look, sports is supposed to be something that brings people together, and it must remain like that. And whenever we have things where we say things and we kind of pick on a particular group that goes beyond basketball and all of that, if we're wrong, we need to admit to it and own up to it and say, hey, look, we're wrong. I've been consistent on this issue across the board. Now, some people have tried to put some political spin on it and say, oh, no, this is a freedom of speech and blah, 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 blah. I'm like, no, it's not no damn freedom of speech. Let's apply some wisdom when we use. See, that's why God gave us wisdom, right? He gave us wisdom. We're not dogs and cats or whatever. We're just operate off of instinct and emotion. No, we have wisdom. We should be able to discern situations. Yes, you have the freedom to say what you want, but it doesn't mean that you can now say certain things that are deemed as hateful and then get to throw it under the guise of, oh, well, I'm just giving you my freedom of speech. No. If I walk up to a particular group, any group, and I start saying hateful things towards that group, and you can see that they're clearly offended, I don't get to then run behind a curtain and hide and say, oh, no, it's my freedom of speech. No, it's not. Because what you're pretending is that, what you're trying to pretend is that there's nothing that can be said that can offend people, which is BS. I can never be offended. That's rubbish. As a matter of fact, the people that hold on to these particular views are the people that are the easiestly offended. All you got to do is say, hey, man, I don't agree with your positions on this, X, Y, and Z. And you'll see. All of a sudden, it ain't no longer freedom of speech. It's all. So to me, look, I believe that everybody should have the right to express their views, but you have to apply some wisdom to it. You have to show some emotional maturity, and you just can't say anything to anybody. It's like if you see somebody with their child, man, I think your child is ugly. And then the father knocks you across the face. Oh, but I will just give him my freedom. That's what I think. It's what I think. I think your kid is ugly. But that would be dumb, wouldn't it be? It'd be like, but that's dumb. You know what you're saying is dumb and it's offensive. So there are things that exist within society that are offensive to other people. And we need to be sensitive of that. We're adults here. We're not kids. Kids just say whatever the hell comes to their minds. Adults should be able to curtail their emotions and monitor their language a little bit better in public. This is just my personal view. Now, if this is too radical for you, I don't know what to tell you. I'm not going to assimilate into any line of thinking that makes you feel like, okay, I don't know what to tell you. I don't know what to tell you. So to me, man, we have to be careful what we say to people and try our best not to offend people. Not to say that, if you have a principled position on something and it may turn somebody off, that's one thing. But to go around saying things to worse people, and you have to draw the line, and that's why God gave us wisdom. Let's use it. Let's use it. Let's not throw away our wisdom to become dogmatic to the point where we can't even think properly as adults. So that's my first thing. Second thing, I'll just quickly say, comments like this have no place in sports, as I said before. I said in a previous show, I'm going to say it again. Can you imagine if a player like Michael Jordan, Kobe Bryant, LeBron James, one of them said that? As a matter of fact, Joel Embiid was brought the comments that Gilbert Arenas made, and he said he was very disappointed in it. And Joel Embiid, who is an American by, I guess, his green card, whatever it is, he's a Cameroonian. So he would be offended by that, right? So there's no space for this.